While having to choose between some of the best career options, women today find themselves juggling a lot of questions concerning their personal and professional lives. To find answers to this increasing dilemma, the women in the national capital got an opportunity to get together and discuss, debate and explore the road ahead for them. Laying a cornerstone for this was the Fleximoms Sheroes Summit, India's largest OpportunityScape for women. After its successful edition in Mumbai, the Sheroes Summit was held in New Delhi to provide a platform to discuss and explore the variety of options available for women professionals to advance their careers.
We believe there are enough opportunities out there for each one of us. There are enough things to do, there are enough jobs to apply, there are enough businesses to run, there are enough franchisees to take, there are enough voluntary opportunities to take. But there are 4 things that all of us need when we are out there. One is our personal clarity. What is the conversation I'm having with myself? Second is our support system. And I can tell you, especially for women, I think it should get double the points. Third is our network. And fourth is our skills. When all these things come together, we are able to make the choices that we want to make.
The summit organized different panel discussions to understand what matters to women professionals at work. The first panel, titled Gazing the Horizon, Creating Shared Value, did just that. CEOs from various sectors deliberated upon important trends in business and its impact on women at work.
Devrani, you joined Intel when it was only a quarter, 25 years old. You were one of the first employees from India. Tell us more about your professional and personal journey within the organization.
Intel to me happened purely by chance. And the reason I decided to join Intel was when I walked in for the interview, I met this woman, Deborah Conrad, who today is our CMO. All the interviews I had done, that was the only one where I was interviewed by a woman, number one. An amazingly dynamic woman. I mean, I walked into that room and within 5 seconds, I said, this is who I want to be when I grow up. Most important, the only interview where I didn't get asked, when was I planning to get married? When was I going to have kids? What would happen to those kids after I worked? When I look back, it's like, I describe Intel as a playground with doors of opportunity hidden all over. It's like that misty garden, and you can find a door if you really look hard, but you have to have the hunger to go look for it, and then you have to have the confidence to open the door and walk in.
So it really is about gazing the opportunity at the right time. Anuradha, we all know that 9.9 is first of its kind of a media company which propelled convergence. What was the vision when you started that media business?
I would actually not settle this on the convergence piece. I think the market is so dynamic, so uncertain, and so nimble that really the challenge is to create a business that can respond, either sometimes predict, but most definitely respond to the need of the hour.
Absolutely.
So, and the need could come from your customer, it could come from society, it could come anywhere. I think the convergence is actually there. I think it's really been about not being wedded to anything other than the absolute core value of the fact that you want to create a successful, nimble business that stays with the time. And at the core of it is human value. Connections matter. And I think somewhere the media business is about that.
Navyog, what is the role of a CEO in the changing times, and especially when you're looking at talent acquisition? And you're also, dealing with diverse groups of people.
The total number of meetings I've had with clients is like 8. The total number of interviews that I've done to get talent on board is at least an order of magnitude more, which is like, let's say, 80. We clearly are obsessed with, and I personally participate in finding and onboarding talent. And I think that I think is a very, very important facet of the role of a CEO going forward, and that is the ability to attract and inspire and recruit talent. I think CEOs need to clearly understand that their job, apart from talent but related to talent, is to get innovation to happen. and kind of see what they can outsource and what they can delegate. But to me, talent, brand, and innovation are three very, very key functions or areas that a CEO must be completely plugged into.
Reshma, you've seen both the Indias up and close, rural and urban, and you've seen how rural artisans and craftsmen work with very little resources. What is the biggest lesson that you've learned while working with them?
A lot of women are involved, at work in rural areas, and in probably 90% of the cases, it's because of economic adversity. It's not because they had a choice. So their motivation is slightly different. But their ability to reconcile to trade-offs and make peace with that is incredible. I think that the women we work with sometimes are just insane. Like they will cook, they will, feed their children, they will tend to cattle, they will work in the farm. And there have been cases where they started earning enough that the men have said, you guys go to work, we would sit at home, right? So I'm just saying that, there's a lot to learn from the fact that they've made peace with their trade-offs. They are happy because they've been able to find that balance between what society expects of them in terms of their roles and what they're able to do in terms of their own economic independence. Most of you don't have to make that choice. You actually are fairly liberated already because, that onus of bringing food on the table is not there for you.
We know every woman has a job, has another job, and it's the unsaid truth. Women run the caregiving economy, babies, birthdays, festivals, which means when women are looking for options, something is holding them back because there's already a job at home that needs to run. And that's a big challenge all through the country.
So many times we women believe that we are not good enough to do something. And I think that is what holds us back much more than society or the environment around us. And if we can figure out a way to change that, then everything else can start changing.
About what you want. This is about the noise in your head. Once you have that clarity, then making those choices vocal and then going for them, you will probably find much greater support for your choices.
The second panel at the summit looked into some of the obstacles faced by entrepreneurial ventures owned by women and explored the opportunities that lay ahead of them.
Gauri, from biochemistry to computer applications to HR to now baking. Then you've become an entrepreneur now. Do you attribute this plunge to motherhood?
Absolutely. The only reason I started baking when I did was for my son who wanted cakes and cookies and whatever every now and then. When we decide to take the motherhood, you decide that yes, you want to be a mother, then you need to make a choice. I don't think you can run a parallel successful career together with raising a child for the first 2 years at least. So that's when I decided that, working is not going to be the place for me, and quit my job, and how things happen over the years.
Rajat, so it's really like, first I've identified the need. I know what I want to do. How do I go step by step to my, how do I look at the bigger picture, and how do I prepare myself for that big step?
If you're building a single floor building, your foundation will be different. But if you're building a 20-floor building, the foundation will have to be very different. So when you're starting up, it doesn't help to say, coming to your point, and what do I need? It doesn't help to say, let me start small, let's see how it goes, and hopefully something will happen. And if things start on progressing, we will figure it out that way. You need to start right now and saying that what are the opportunities in my business. Take a very clear view of what the size of the market opportunity is, what is realistic for me to be in. And then when you know that this is where I need to be in about 2 or this is where I can possibly in 2 or 3 years, then start working back from there and start clearly planning out what it takes to go in.
Well, my question to you is, I'm sure a lot of people here are asking themselves as to what are the things that one needs to let go of. How do I decide my priorities? My priorities will always be mine. Give us a sense of your story, from where you're coming from.
For a moment,
think about what do you want to achieve and don't mix it with everything else in your life for a moment, right? Because that clarity is the absolute truth, or that will mean a lot to you when we grow up knowing that everyone's got to have some goals in life. What are your top 3 goals which you want to achieve in life, or 5? You could have 2, that's not the point. But if you are able to articulate that to yourself, and then be true to it. And then comes the thing about prioritizing. You know, if we truly ask our husbands and partners, I don't think they want us that involved and that fussy, and, you know, we lose our energies to things which we probably are not to that proportion that we need to. So the best way, at least I have found my formula, everyone has to work out their own. The best way is just make sure those 3-4 things that you want to achieve, right? Keep maneuvering your life and keep making progress in each of those lanes.
So Ramona, so fear of failure is one, how do I start is the other question. What are the few really big fears that you come across when you're trying to work with an individual?
I think some of the fears are around, first is, I may fail. What will people say if I have to go back to the corporate world? What if I'm not able to make any money? Yeah, and the other is about self-esteem, right? It's all about self-esteem, my image, my identity. I think it's about getting into self and, you know, being sure about what you want and, you know, dull the world a bit around you so that you can see yourself clearly in the mirror. Because many people will tell you many things. For example, one of the things I was told was, are you crazy? You're going to be leaving a job where you're going to maybe go to America someday, and you're leaving that job to start your own business. So I think it's about the influence that you have on the world around you to kind of pitch in when you actually need to go out and give up your pretty paycheck that comes at the end of the month.
So moving forward, and it is also about planning. So Prajakta, how does one plan entrepreneurship? What are the few steps that one must follow?
One of the biggest mistakes that most entrepreneurs, and not just about women or men, but most entrepreneurs do is to confuse between an idea and a business. A business plan, simplistically talking, is exactly like planning a journey, but it's planning a journey for your business, saying that I'm at 0 right now, I need to be a 50 crore company in 5 years time, and therefore if I need to be 50 crores in 5 years time, where do I need to be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line? What are the milestones that will come on the way? How am I going to go that, and so on and so forth. Much like in a journey as well, assuming that there's a roadblock, what do? Do you stop your journey and say, oh, I have planned this road and therefore there is a roadblock, I can't go. What do? You take a diversion, you go around it and try to come back on track. A business plan again is a similar thing. You chart out a roadmap and say, by and large, this is the way I want to go, and this is the direction that I want to go in. Once you find hitches on the way, you navigate around it and try to come back on track. In some cases, you know that the track or the direction that you're going does not seem to be right. What do? You just change direction. That's what pivoting is about.
VC industry it's driven by return on capital. Clearly, if better business plans, bigger scalable business models would come for funding, they would get funded. And the women need to make sure that their networks, right, are starting to reach out to the VC industry, and the VC industry needs to reach out to women entrepreneurs.
The scale of aspirations of a lot of women is significantly lower because they think that they should try and do things at a very small scale before they are able to do that. And I think that's a very wrong starting point.
Along with exploring various domains via panel discussions, the summit also provided an interactive session by Jagat and Kia Rathore and Sangeeta Singh called Powering Life My Way. The session aimed at helping participants understand ways to overcome their inhibitions by developing confidence. The session also explained the importance and benefits of coaching for women professionals. And the last session of the summit shed light on emerging work patterns in various organizations and the opportunities available for women in them.
Why am I here today, and why did Fleximoms give me the opportunity to present what our company is intending to do? We found term insurance is an interesting segment. We've also found that there's not enough insurance for women. We are attempting to bring that gap and eliminate it to the extent that we can. And for that, it just doesn't work by, manufacturing a product and putting it up on the internet. It also means it requires for the ecosystem around that to talk to it. And we came up with, again, a very simple design which said, get women to sell products to women which are meant for women. Right? And it's easier said than done, because when you start doing that, you try and find an ecosystem saying, okay, here's a woman-specific product, nobody knows how to price it, right? Because nobody's ever sold it in the market. So how do you manufacture that? And to bridge that gap, we have this platform where I'm talking to you today saying that there's an opportunity for you to extend your hand and say, I will make this side of the story talk to this side of the story. Right? It's small, it's a very niche segment. There are 2 people in the company that are working on it. It's small for us today, but I believe that there is a big opportunity sitting behind this.
Philips has made a major commitment to making ourselves a more diverse organization. I'm sorry to say that we are less than 10% women today. When you look at the workforce, we should be somewhere in the 30% range. And so a bunch of us have come together to form a diversity and inclusion council to drive how do we increase the number of women in Philips, in India specifically. We are making a program which is an internship just for women and more experienced women who bring special functional skills into the organization. And the reason we are calling it back in the game is it is open to any woman. The objective of the program is just to provide an opportunity of all you talented women to come back to a corporate career and also do it in a way where you are contributing to the organization. So you take up a project and you will demonstrate what your capabilities are, gives us a chance to also get to know you better, and then you get to know the organization better as well. And then if that is something that is a mutually rewarding thing, we can then sort of take it forward.
Plug HR is not an alternative kind of an organization or an organization which talks about part-time, etc., things like that. It's not that. It's a very mainstream business-focused organization. HR is what we hire all the time, right? So if you have an experience in HR, if you can create HR outcomes, you are the best fit, which means that every week there is going to be an opportunity for you. There will be multiple opportunities for you every week. That's HR. If you can sell, if you can sign up clients, there is always opportunity with every possible company on earth. If you're a writer, you can write, right? Each of my managers have a case every week, which we fail to write, which they fail to write because there's so much bandwidth issue. We don't have time to do all that. Because we have our kids, we want to play with them. We've got our tennis to play with and we've got to do our running, right? So this is not what we want to do all life. So we don't have time. We have very limited time to things we can do. But if you can come in and write cases for us. So I can connect you with 5 of my managers. I can make a group saying that you are the writer for these 5. Those 5 people tell you stories. You give shape to those stories. You write to them.
What's really rocking our world today? What are the businesses in which, if you spend your time and effort, will give you the maximum returns? Any ideas? E-commerce and internet. These are 2 areas. If you want to set up e-commerce, who can you sell to? People who have access to internet? Can you sell to a guy who doesn't have access to internet? No. Okay. What is the internet landscape in India? India has 50 million computers at homes. And 50 million computers at homes, how many mobile phones do we have in India? 500 million mobile phones. So ladies, my real advice to you is, if you want to do anything on the internet, stop thinking about the website. Don't build the website. Build a mobile app, build a mobile website. Because only 15 million can access internet. The rest, 150, 60 million people are accessing internet on the mobile phones only. Paytm is building an e-commerce framework where each one of you, without knowing technology, without building your own stuff, can start selling your goods. So if you think you have that very good understanding of that one cane chair manufacturer or that cane jhula manufacturer, and you can do a deal with them, and you can take his product and put it on our e-commerce site, which is going to be live soon, just in a month or two.
I think it's a great initiative. I'm actually quite pleased. So I've worked both in the US and now in India. So I'm quite pleased to see that we are thinking very progressively as a country to give various options to women.
The vibe is excellent, and what's really, really impressive is that it's real quality. So each and every session was filled and packed with information and really real life usable stuff for women in India.